hide all the insecurities.
Welcome. Hey, welcome to the Jimmy Curve.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
About to get bumpy.
You guys keep derailing me.
I did, and I did it endearingly.
Will's got jokes.
Hey.
Will is the Sarlacc pit.
I love beer.
I like that too.
Pork broccoli.
Snowflake.
Hail Baphomet.
Thank you guys for listening.
I learned a lot.
Keep up the good work.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in and listening to the Jimmy Curve. I am your host, Jimmy Putnam, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Joshua Vossler.
Hello, everybody.
And my sidekick, Will Doherty.
Are we doing the announcer voice like the whole time?
That wasn't so much announcer voice. It was just annoying. I don't know why.
I was getting like baseball.
I didn't have a super good feel for what I was going for there.
I feel like that was the voice that you expect to hearing echoing during the 7th inning.
Here, I can actually do that. Let me throw that on. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jimmy Curve. Nah, it's still stupid. Joining us today on the show, our extra special guest, comedian Darrin Meyer.
Hey. Yeah, you're that shit.
It's good to be here. I am honored to finally get an invite.
Well, they come and go. Anyways, thank you for joining us, Darrin. Darrin, you are probably our longest tenured comedian, if comedian is a job.
I mean, obviously not for any of us.
Yeah. Explain what I mean, Darrin.
Well, it pays enough to keep me in a cheap 2-bedroom apartment I've had since college, if that counts as a job.
It does. Has comedian ever been, or is it now, your primary source of income?
It has been for a long time until gas prices shot through the roof, and then I kind of had to cut back and shrink my circle.
Right on.
Because a lot of the work I was getting was in the South and the East, and I couldn't afford to get to these places anymore.
The worst two quadrants. That's probably not accurate. But,
I don't know. The North is pretty. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's where Fargo happened.
So you've been doing this for how long?
Since 93 is when I started.
So that's
A little over 20 years.
That's 22 years.
Oh man, are you just realizing this now? Is this going to be a sad moment?
Time flies when you're stuck in a rut for years.
Time is one of those weird things for me where he just said 93 and I was like, oh, that was just a couple years ago. Like, because time sort of freezes when you're in high school or something.
Your comedy career is old enough to drink.
Because when you're on the road, you just kind of live week to week, and then you get lost. You're like, oh, it's today Tuesday? No, it's August. Oh, wait, never mind.
Go ahead.
Nothing.
I gotta not interrupt Josh, or else he second guesses himself too much.
Nope, done.
So you perform all over. You do a lot of small towns in the Midwest.
Yeah, there's a lot of little one-nighters pop up here and there, and I'll jump at those because they're close to home.
Yeah, and there's money. So Josh has opened for you, right, on a couple of those, and he's come back and he's been like, dude, Darrin kills in small towns. So how do you do that? What is it about small towns that you've found you can appeal to?
Well, I mean, people always worry about going to small towns because they think it's just going to be total Hicksville or Children of the Corn, but they're actually more fun to do because a lot of times that's their only entertainment for a long period of time.
Right.
You're in a bigger city, they can go to the movies, they can go to restaurants. This is the bar.
Right.
And this is the bar people go to every week, and they're thrilled to finally see somebody who doesn't actually live there.
Right.
I would think, too, since it's a small town, they all kind of know each other, so they're all kind of friends. They're probably used to laughing around each other, and, there's some sort of, automatic camaraderie between audience members.
Yeah, but that can make it worse, too, because then they can heckle each other because they all know each other.
Yeah.
Is it harder to control crowds there?
It depends. It depends on the place. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen some. I've been out of control ones in big cities too. So.
Oh, of course, right. It's just I'm always thinking well, it's true because audiences that are used to seeing comedy sometimes start to feel like they're the show.
Yeah. Well, even if it's a bad bar, if it's set up right, if there is a good sound system and lighting, the show can work.
Right.
No, but speaking to the thing you were saying about how, like, the small towns when, like, everybody knows each other, I haven't done that many, like, actual shows out of town, but I've still been at that one. I've been at the one where there's, like, the funny guy in town who's really gonna make this all about him, and people are kind of excited for him to do that.
Right.
Yeah, because I did one in Kearney last year. I took Nick Allen with me, and we get to the bar, and they're like, oh, we got a local guy, he's going to open. He emceed last time, and so we talked to this kid. He's like, yeah, tonight's my second time on stage. I did it last time, too, so I'll open, and I'll probably do about 25.
Oh, my God.
No, you won't. No, you're hosting for free. No. And he actually had a set list. I mean, they have bands at this bar, so they had speakers, monitors on the front of the stage. He actually had a whole piece of paper, taped a set list to the speaker like he's Def Leppard.
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't get off the stage.
What is the deal with time? I'm constantly battling local comedians about time. Like, everybody thinks they should be doing a half an hour, like, right away. I'm like, no, I don't know. No audience ever wants to see a local comedian keep going.
Right. Well, it's kind of the thing. Like, if it's not going well, you're like, crap, I can't end it now. I've got to end on a laugh. So you just keep going until you get a laugh. But on the other hand, if things are going well, you're like, all right, that one got a laugh. I'll do one more. Right.
When has that ever happened? That second version. Has that ever happened? Like, I've never seen that locally.
Yeah, well, like years ago, too, there was a comedian.
I mean, if you're the headliner and somebody's paying you to come into their town, yes, like, I can get how they'd be like, this is awesome. I'm more thinking of the local show. I've been doing this very long.
I've seen that happen at open mics. I've seen people who, like, were pushing their time, and I've been guilty of doing that at open mics. You gave me the light at Duffy's on Monday.
Yeah.
So, like, where
you
like,
had been on stage for 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, though. I do see that happen. Like, that's when that happens locally, is at open mics. When, like, somebody actually gets thinking, oh, this is actually going well. I'm not going to leave.
Right.
This is the only positive thing in my life.
Let's talk about the Duffy's open mic, because you two host, Will and Darrin. What is up with not giving people the light?
Well, I mean, some people, they should just know. I mean, 5 minutes isn't 30. It shouldn't be that hard.
Right, but you know that nobody does know.
Right.
I mean, you've been there doing long enough that you know that none of those people know that.
Plus, I mean, even if you say don't stare at your notebooks, don't sit there and think, what do I want to do next? They still do that.
Right.
And we had a couple of newbies recent, like the last time I hosted, I put them up at the end, and they just got up there and started staring at their notes. I'm like, you've been here for 2.5 hours. How do you not have the first 30 seconds memorized yet?
Right. Yeah, I guess my concern is people who've been doing it for a while are never going to stop at 5 minutes. I think that we've all seen that enough times, right? Are we all on board with that?
Yeah.
You gotta give them the light.
Well, I mean, it's also, like, if I want a light, I'll just tell one of you guys or Ryan, like, hey, light me at whatever. You know what I mean?
Nobody wants the light.
Or I can keep a track on my phone. But part of that, too, is, they don't want it because they also don't care. Otherwise, they would make an effort to, like, take themselves off after 5.
But then again, at Duffy's, the host gets paid a few bucks, and Duffy's wants the show to go till 1 a.m., and there have been a couple of times they wanted to short me my pay because the show went short.
Oh, really?
So I don't want to keep everybody to exactly 5 minutes, because then if the show gets over at 12:15, I don't want to have to deal with that problem again.
See, yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. My concern is more like if a bunch of people show up there. I've had nights where I'm like, okay, I'm 12th, and the show starts at 10:30, and I don't get on stage till 1:20, or whatever. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but like 2 weeks ago, I went there, and 5 out of the first 7 people did over 12 minutes. That's what I yelled at a new kid, and I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have yelled at some new kid. But he did 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Somebody go, where is the giant shepherd's hook? That's what we needed. But whatever. I'm complaining.
And comics, I've done over my time on the road, and a lot of comics have. I've worked with a comic that was supposed to do 45 to an hour, that did an hour and a half both nights, even though the club kind of wanted him off to turn it into a dance club.
Right.
And then he got mad when it was time to get paid because he thought he should get paid more for doing a longer show.
right.
No, they didn't want you to.
Right. See, that I understand. I don't know.
mean,
am I unique in this? Am I the only one who's annoyed about?
You're not the only one, certainly, and I don't think that you're incorrect, but I do think there's also positive aspects about not, lighting all the time. It does also depend on the number of people that are there. Like you said, if there aren't that many people there, if there's, 12 comics signed up, yeah, everybody do 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. But, it, like I said, so that, it depends on the numbers. And I do think there's also a benefit in not lighting, because I think it's nice that there's a stage where you can just get up and do a thing till it's done, because you don't always have the opportunity to do that.
And open mics are different from showcases.
Right.
At an open mic, if you need to fill up time as the host of a show, you need to do that. At the same time, a person standing on stage rambling for 15 minutes doesn't do anybody any favors. They're not helping themselves. They're not helping the audience.
Carl, the sound guy, will start fucking with your mic and stuff, too.
Yeah.
But, it does get stressful if you're on a hard timer, because I did an open mic at a club in Minneapolis one time, hoping to get work there because I was in town.
Right.
And they're like, some people get 3, some people get 5, some people get 7, depending on how long they've been doing it. And they're like, you do not go over your time. You get that amount of time, and that's it. Look for the light. And I didn't know where the light was because I'd never been to this club. I was halfway through my closer. They cut the mic on me.
Oh, Jesus.
I was 10 seconds from being done. Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's not necessarily cutting off your mic, but hard light is every mic in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because I lived there for a while, and it's usually 4 minutes, maybe 3, depending on how busy and how they run their show. But yeah, it's 4 minutes, and you get off the stage everywhere, every time.
Well, there's another aspect to it too, which is why I was saying that open mics and showcases need to be thought of differently, because usually open mics aren't for a crowd. You're not trying to specifically gear it towards entertaining an audience. It's for comedians to work out new stuff. But for a showcase, if everyone's going long, it's not, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. People know how long people can sit and pay attention to a thing. That's why movies are all a certain length, and no 2.5 hour movie. Rarely does a movie do well if it's over an hour and 45 minutes, because they've proven that an hour and 45 minutes is about how long people can sit and focus on a thing, by and large, unless it's, an earth-shatteringly great film.
Or porn.
We've proven that 35 seconds is the longest.
I remember when I was just starting out, there was actually a road comic that got arrested for a series of rapes in different towns that he would go to, and one of them was in Lincoln. And I was talking to some of the comics about this at the time, and one of them said, yeah, I heard he could do 30 years for all this. And the other comic goes, yeah, but being a comic, he'll probably do 40.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I hope he does. Because of the rape.
And that man's name was Bill Cosby.
Oh, hey. Yeah, I remember when he used to play Lincoln. So anyways, enough about rape and more about Darrin Meyer. So, doing stand-up comedy, we talk about it all the time. There's a bunch of headaches. There's a bunch of stress. You've done this for so long. What keeps you coming back? How is it that you're still able to walk into open mics and work out new material? Because I've been doing this for a year, and I'm like, this is exhausting.
Well, it's just the simple rush of it. It doesn't matter where you're at. It's you and a mic. You get a laugh. You feel happy.
So you just love the thing.
Right.
I'm jealous of that because I just don't love it. Yeah. Will and I argue about this a lot.
No, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but people always thought, being on the road as a comic was just flowers and butterflies and rainbows everywhere. But yeah, it was a huge pain in the butt all the time. Because you work a bar, sometimes you think, hey, maybe they'll give me a drink or a burger. They serve food, and you get there hi, do we get a discount? No.
Right.
You get a room. Well, I just drove 5 hours, so I hope so. This is a hotel.
Yeah. Like there's a local show here, and it's in Omaha. I don't want to mention it because I've done it a couple times, but what they pay comics is $1 off on drinks.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, I'm happy to get $1 off on drinks, but at the same time, it's like, it almost feels more insulting than if they were just like, no, no, you get nothing. Like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah, I was riding with another comic once, middle of nowhere, Minnesota. We finally found the hotel after calling 3 times. We go to check in. The old lady's like, hope you're funnier than the ones last week. Did you go to the show? No. How'd you know they weren't funny? They just weren't. Like, they weren't funny when they checked in. Like,
right.
maybe you gave them bad directions too. What, we owe you a show now at the front desk?
That's awesome. I mean, that's terrible.
I mean, not just the front desk lady, literally everyone in society, every time. I mean, that's what you like.
Right.
You dread when somebody finds out that you do comedy. It's the worst moment in social life.
You never want somebody to be like, okay, tell me a joke.
Yeah, because that's what immediately happens.
Yeah, and then when you say no, you're a jerk, and they get pissed. And then if you just do a joke, they don't laugh, and they think you suck.
Right.
Right. There's no positive outcome.
No, and then there's the even worse case scenario, which is the people in my life who find out that I'm a comedian and they go, huh.
Is that worse? That sounds like the ideal.
Don't you want to hear me tell a joke?
You got one like stored up, geared, ready to go.
Well, I don't know. It's just like, oh, you don't think I can do this or should be doing it, or you don't care at all, or whatever,
Yeah, you weirdo.
No, it's true. Most of my life, I just want to be left alone. You're right.
Like, and like my aunt, she tried to get me to do this like church fundraiser thing to send somebody to some country for something. She's like, yeah, you'll do great. Like they'll like you tell your tell whatever the one clean joke I have, and I'm like, no, that sounds horrible. It just sounds awful. It sounds like a nightmare. And she's like, yeah, you can since it's for charity, you can whatever you normally get paid, you can deduct that from your taxes. And I'm like, you don't know how this works.
How do you deduct $1 off of drinks from your taxes?
I did that once years ago for a deduction, and then I realized later, like, I don't itemize. That just did me absolutely no good.
Right.
And what's sad too, people think there are like magical groupies that are at every stop that we just get to pick from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a show, like, after the only people left were, like, the staff and, like, one couple. The girl was with the guy. She's like, come on, you can tell me. You guys get laid every night. Come on, you can tell me. I'm like, with who? Who?
Yeah.
Like, you are the only female left in here, and you're
Right.
with someone. No,
Right.
come on, you can tell me. Be straight. Come on, you can just tell me. I'm like, sure, okay.
All the time.
I mean,
I would lie.
if you're
I'll constantly.
It's amazing that people think that.
Yeah.
That
Well, I
is
had one
weird.
woman say, no, one of my friends slept with a comic once, so I know you guys get laid every night.
Wow.
All right, that totally makes sense.
It happened once, so it must happen all the time.
Right.
Like, just, you want to buy a CD then? No? Okay, bye.
I have met women who their thing is sleeping with comics.
Mm-hmm.
I know 2 of them.
Do you have names?
Their name?
You can-
19-year-old Jimmy would have loved to have known the 2 of them much more than 37-year-old Jimmy, who's mostly just irritated by the situation. But you know what?
Women used to think it was fun until they saw how much money comedians make, and then they're like, "Oh, never mind.
Ugh, just got real sad.
We talk
We're
about
going
that
to
all the
Fazoli's
time.
again." Thanks.
We talk about that all the time. How like I've seen how touring comedians live that come through here, and it's not glamorous. Like, it's not that great. It's a lot of sleeping on couches and like
Or cars.
eating what people give you. You know, which I guess if you love comedy, that's a life that you would enjoy living. I love air conditioning and cable. So
Well, that's the thing. When I started out, the clubs, the one-nighters I'm working now, pay basically the same as they did 20 years ago.
really,
Yep. When I was starting out,
during the boom.
I got in after the boom, but I could
really?
drive. I could drive. 93, 94. You could drive 8 hours to Minnesota and back for $100, and you're like, score.
Mm-hmm.
I made money.
I don't have to put this on the show, but like, what does it take to get you to go do comedy somewhere?
Well, again, it depends on how far away it is.
Right.
Am I going to make a profit? So.
Right.
Or even if it's going to be just a small profit, hey, I've got T-shirts and CDs. Hopefully that'll add to it a bit.
Yeah. What do you have to make on top of expenses?
Well, that's the thing. You keep your expenses very low. You go on the road for a few days, bring a cooler of food. They, they provide the places to stay.
You're just not going to answer
You put
the
gas
question.
in the car. What am I being audited?
I'm curious.
I actually did get audited a few years ago when I was still doing it full time, and I got in. The IRS agent was actually pretty cute, and she's like, "The reason your returns raised a red flag is because the government didn't think you could survive on what it says you make."
Wow.
Right on. That's
Because
funny.
when you drive 60,000 miles a year, just the deduction for that, you're already in the red.
Right. It's just we've had a couple of times recently where I've mentioned, or at a couple places like, I do comedy, and I've said to people like, what if we could do a show here? And they said, well, what would it take to get you to come? And the question so surprised me that someone would pay me anything to like do comedy that I was like, yeah, I don't know.
$1 off drinks? That's my going rate right now.
Yeah, that's what if I can get that, I'm happy. All right, let's do some news. Joshua Bossler news.
I'm just really thankful that there's a guy out here in this world that's going to take care of the, these pesky black rhino problem. You know what I mean? There's too many of them around, don't you think?
Oh yeah,
They're
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. This dude has paid $350,000 to get a permit to shoot and kill a black rhino.
Are they on the endangered species list?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
It's gotta be.
Are
There's-
rhinos on the...
I don't know.
There's only 5,000 of them. So
He paid $350,000 to get a permit.
Mhm.
In
And to
which
kill it.
country?
Nambia.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of funny because he originally they kind of figured out which one they wanted to kill. They wanted to kill this older male who wasn't reproducing offspring and was killing, the offspring of other rhinos.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
And so they were they were out hunting for it. Well, it just died of old age, so the guy didn't get to shoot it. So I guess they found another rhino for this guy to shoot, and he killed it, and he's getting a lot of grief for it.
So you can relate to rich people problems, right? You can, like when your rhino dies of old age.
Oh yeah. You know what? I mean, I've been trying to keep rhinos alive for so long. I know how difficult it is. Sometimes you just got to shoot them.
And his defense is like, the $350,000 permit is supposed to go directly into this, saving the species and
Who did
certain
he
wildlife causes.
Who did he write the check to?
I'm assuming the country
Cash.
of Nambia.
He wrote it to Cash. I mean,
Right.
That's right. How do you spell
And then
Nambia? N, and it's just to Nambia.
It is one of those things that should have gone to, the government, but I think might have just been passed under a table in a briefcase.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, maybe.
Here's my question. I guess let me clarify this. Who has the authority to decree whether or not a black rhino lives or dies? Because this guy paid somebody who has the power to determine who is allowed to kill rhinos. Like, that's kind of a lot of power. Like, assuming he's got just like a thumbs up or thumbs down move, like the rhino dies,
Or he asks, and whoever's in charge are like, "Thank God, finally, somebody." Somebody willing to pay $350,000 to take care of these rhinos.
Or the guy offered him $250,000 and he had to talk him up. Like, well, the rhino offered me $300,000 to stay alive.
What would be the fine for killing a rhino without a permit? Would it be less than $350,000?
$350,000.
I don't know.
You could have just not asked and saved half your money.
Rhino poaching? Well, you probably go to jail for poaching is a crime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You don't go to jail. You go to Namibia jail.
Like, isn't that where they actually filmed the Mad Max movie?
I don't know where Fury Road is. How many towns have a Fury Road?
I don't know.
Anyways,
I heard the new one's good.
dude, the new Mad Max is getting like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I saw the new Avengers.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Horrible.
Yeah, it was good.
Sucked.
It wasn't good.
They're all turning into Transformers movies. Like
the newest Avengers movie is super cartoonish. What made the others good? What made all the Marvel movies good is that they're just good stories that happen to have superheroes in them. The new one is not. The new one is just a Michael Bay series of explosions.
That's what I thought. I thought it's just like they're
but they forced him to cut 40 minminutes, so maybe it'll be seriously.
Yeah,
Maybe they will release a director's cut someday. All the character stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I was they've set the bar so high. I was just disappointed in it.
Yeah, and I saw the preview for Ant-Man. That with Paul Rudd's going to be Ant-Man. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure what I think about that.
Well, that's what people were saying about Guardians of the Galaxy last year at this time.
Didn't care for that movie either.
Oh, I thought it was great. Guardians of the Galaxy I thought was fantastic. I mean, a good story is just a good story, even if it has a ridiculous premise.
Yeah, I'm just getting tired of all of them.
Get another news story?
Oh, yeah.
It better not have a ridiculous premise.
Yeah. People's attention spans may now be worse than the common goldfish. Microsoft did like this research thing. They reached this conclusion after surveying more than 2,000 Canadians and monitoring the brain activity of 112 people.
Oh, so it's not people, it's Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, there needs to be a plus or minus Canadian factor here. In our age of buzzing phones and 140 character news items, the Canadians' attention span has dropped from an average of 12 seconds in the year 2000 to the jittery low of 8 seconds today. Researchers say the average goldfish is believed to be able to concentrate for 9 seconds.
And how do they test it? Did it say? How do you test someone's attention? Because 8 seconds is kind of a long time to focus on something.
Oh, I don't know.
Or do you have to just peripherally pay attention?
You know what? I don't know.
He didn't get that far into the article.
Yeah.
Proving it was correct.
Are we still talking about that?
Yeah. If you're staring down the sights of a gun in a black rhino, I feel like I could focus for 30 seconds.
How do you test a goldfish anyway?
I don't know, man. Fucking.
Put it in front of the TV and see how long it was.
Because I'll be honest, I was playing Call of Duty before you got here, and I for sure can focus for more than 8 seconds.
Yeah, I think. You know what? I don't know.
But I ain't no damn Canadian, so.
You do this thing during the show where you're in the middle of talking, and I might do this. Mm-hmm. And you just completely stop. And you're just like, what are you doing?
I know. I do that. But, I also have, a form of, I notice things. I focus in on small details. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of a good example. Driving a car. I notice what every other car is doing. There could be a car 5 cars ahead of me, and if it makes a little bit of a move, I'm like, that guy looks like trouble. So I can't narrow I don't have tunnel vision. I have whatever the opposite of that is.
I do this thing too where I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody and they're talking, and as they're talking, I'm thinking, I'm listening to them, and it makes me think of something. And I know if I continue to just listen to them, I'm going to, and I interrupt.
Right.
I'm really bad at interrupting, and I feel like an asshole when I do it.
I am.
So I'm trying to make an effort to do that.
Everybody does that.
Yeah, but it's rude.
I mean, damn it! I was hoping you were going to talk. Thing.
Well, I also factor that.
Not everybody does. Yes.
Yeah, I heard this lame stat on the radio once where the guy's like, 25% of their people check their phone within 5 minutes of waking up. That's probably because 25% of people use their phone for an alarm, moron.
Yeah. That's the same stat as most traffic accidents happen within a mile of your home or whatever.
Why don't you move? Oh.
Yeah. How often do you drive outside of that 1 mile? So that's most of the time where you're trailing off. Yeah, I couldn't focus for the 8 seconds it took to get.
You can't even focus on your own sentence for 8 seconds.
I'm the least interested in what I have to say. Of the 4 people here, I find myself the least interesting. So, will amuse me. Dance, monkey. No, don't literally dance. No. Pretty good monkey dance, actually.
That is pretty good.
Sorry, audience. You
I keep telling him.
Will now needs a knee replacement. So,
Oh, you're not wrong. It's been gimping on me a little bit as I get into and out of my car 40 times a day for deliveries.
You just discovered a new form of the verb gimping.
Yeah.
Like, my leg's been gimping on me.
Yeah.
To progressively work towards a state of gimp.
Yeah.
If you were a rapper, you could rhyme that with pimpin'.
Yeah. I mean, it's safe to say that I be big gimpin'.
big gimp.
Spending G's.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Gimpin' ain't easy.
So what song do you always get stuck in your head and like you can't get it out?
Brimful of Asha.
Wow. I don't know what that is.
That's okay. You don't want to know.
Sounds catchy.
It's the worst. You want to hear a couple of seconds of it?
Sure.
Did I interrupt your story
No.
to talk about?
I was just kind of curious.
I will not listen to more than 8 seconds of it.
Do you guys know Brimful of Asha?
I've never heard of it.
Everybody has that song though that they like, but they get it stuck in their head.
It's horrible.
And it turns into hatred. For
This is my song where I always go, boy, it's been a couple of years since I've heard this song, and then I listen to it, and for about 5 seconds, I'm like, oh yeah, that's catchy. I like that song, and then I remember, oh no, it gets terrible real fast because it just repeats. Here we go.
Get out of here. This song?
Do you know this one?
No. But how can you get it stuck in your head?
I don't know that part.
Sounds like a Japanese version of Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh my god. If such a magical thing cannot exist.
She's the one that keeps the dream alive from the morning past the evening to the end of the life. Brimful of Asher on the 45. Well, it's a brimful of Asher on the 45.
Okay,
What are they,
that song
Irish
is
or
6.5 minutes long,
Wow.
and it never changes. It's just that riff over and over and over again, and those lyrics repeat like 6 times. Like that whole set of lyrics. And yeah, it's not a good song, but it was actually a hit. I mean, it was a Billboard hit when it came out.
Well, you have a song you just
On
can't.
which chart?
Yeah.
It's not a
The band Corner Shop.
no. I don't have a song.
And now, ironically, their CDs are in the corner of the shop for $1.
Oh no, nobody. These are given away.
Researchers are reporting that the ordinary act of chewing gum might help get rid of the pesky tune that's stuck in your head. Among 98 people surveyed, the repetitive jaw motion behind gum chewing helped participants stop hearing the song they just listened to, giving them a 33% greater chance of getting it out of their heads.
I don't know how many listeners we have left, but we just sold a pack of gum to all of them. So they can get brimful of Asha out of their heads. Congratulations, Wrigley's Company. You're welcome. Wait, you're welcome. I got confused.
It'd be Big Red around here, don't you think? All right.
Juicy fruit. It's better than trying to remember the lyrics to Bare Naked Ladies.
So Nebraska just passed a bill to abolish the death penalty. The state Senate did.
Like recently?
And, yeah.
Did they pass it? I thought they were still voting on it.
I think it passed.
Today? Or
I think so. It was on the news today. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Pete Ricketts, our governor, already said a while ago that he would veto it, but they think that they have enough votes in the Senate that they could actually overturn the veto.
Yeah, and Ricketts just spent $50,000 on the stuff they used to kill people with. Like, wouldn't you make that purchase after the vote to see whether you? Because, like, can you save the receipt
Wasn't it like a?
It holds its
wasn't
own.
it
on
like
injection materials?
a specific weird little like passive aggressive
Yeah,
jab?
right.
But that's so. I love that. I love the combination of pettiness combined with literal life and death consequences. Like, no, we're gonna buy $50,000 worth of murder drugs as a way to like throw a snide little like meh to you for trying to abolish it.
Where are you at on death penalty, Josh?
I'm against killing people.
Specific people?
I mean, as a broad statement, I think we're mostly all on board.
Unless it's a rhino.
Well, the thing about it in Nebraska.
Wait, how much do you have to pay to get a death penalty permit? That's the question.
It's weird you ask. $350,000.
Funny.
The thing is, in Nebraska, we haven't executed somebody for a long time. I don't remember who the last. Ote, was that the last one? There was one after that.
Yeah.
But because of the appeals process, it's very costly to actually go through and actually get somebody killed or whatever.
Yeah.
But and it's really not, I don't think, a deterrent.
Is it just a lot of like bureaucratic red tape?
Well, a lot of I mean, the appeals process, you just reappeal until finally, I don't know what happens, and it just kind of runs out.
Eventually, you just die of old age,
Right,
and then it doesn't
basically.
matter.
And then they execute him a week before the DNA test comes back that would have exonerated him.
I used to work in a prison, and you know what? If somebody did something to me or my family, which I thought would merit execution, I would almost, if I think about it more and think less emotionally, I would kind of want him to just rot in prison. I think that would be worse than being put out of your misery.
Speaking of Mad Max Fury Road, what about a Thunderdome type situation where they are pitted against a black rhino?
Well, I told you we should start a penal planet, Mars, and we just send them all up there.
Right. Yeah.
We call it New Australia.
Yeah.
That seems more expensive.
Well, yeah, but I
No,
mean,
because you don't have to fuel for the way back.
yeah, that's the trick. It's not that it's cheap to send people to Mars. It's expensive.
Right.
But we need to start sending people to Mars. Like, it's time. We got to start figuring this shit out.
Right.
So let's just get up there. There's got to be some. We'll start with the evil scientists. Now they're gonna try. They're gonna try to get some nukes back to Earth, but
Somehow all of our podcasts eventually end with us talking about the eventual heat death of the planet. I don't know how that happens. You have any more?
Yeah, the least exciting thing about NFL football games are going to be a little bit more exciting. The National Football League is moving back extra point kicks to make them more challenging.
Wow.
The owners today approved the competition committee's proposal to snap the ball from the 15-yard line instead from the 2. In recent seasons, kickers have made more than 99% of the kicks. If teams opt instead to go for a 2-point conversion, they'll face another challenge. The ball will be snapped from the 2-yard line, but under the new rule adopted today, the defending team can now return a turnover to the other end zone and claim the 2 points.
Which college has always had anyway.
Right.
I got excited for a second when you said if a team wants to go for 2, they will have to overcome another challenge, and I was like, ooh, are there going to be like tigers or like?
But now nobody can fake an extra point and go for 2 at the last second, switching it up.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
That is.
You've seen
Does
teams
that
do
happen
that where they
very
line up
often?
to kick and then spread out and run it or something.
Yeah, I have seen teams do that. I feel like that doesn't happen very often. Usually
No, but it
usually
could.
know. It
There's
could.
always the chance.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about this because I don't know if this is true, but I feel like this is a thing I've heard that like when people were doing like the Moneyball, like statistical analysis of like NFL football, that if you actually looked at it like out from the outside objectively, on average, it would actually be smarter to go for 2 virtually every time. Is that true?
I don't know about that one. The one that I'm the most familiar with is punting. It's statistically speaking, you should never punt. Even 4th and 20 from your own 5, like you should go for it. So much so that it's like if you look at like this, the stats are overwhelming.
So why doesn't that ever happen?
Because of popular opinion. The same reason that stupid laws get passed, because most of the country thinks they should.
Well, because coaches hate getting fired, and
Yeah.
they don't want to get fired for going for
So
it on 4th
something-
down from their own 10-yard line every
Something
time.
that would seem like a blunder will ruin someone's career.
Right. Even if it's the smart move for a coach to do it, they'll do the popular
But people only
thing.
try that like at a high school level, though.
But what doesn't it only take? But if it's like I said, if it's this statistical breakdown thing, aren't we getting to the point where like people respect that kind of stuff
Well-
enough that
well,
it'll take one coach to do that generally successfully, and then everybody will just jump on board?
That's the thing with Moneyball. That's what happened in baseball. But it took a situation which almost never happens and does not exist in the NFL, where an owner gave a general manager carte blanche to try crazy shit at the professional level. Like it,
Well,
in 100 years of baseball, that had never
The
happened.
difference is every NFL team gets the same amount of money basically to spend.
Right. Well, it's so rare too. Like the thing about baseball is like the last time that happened was when they brought a black person into the majors for the first time in 1942. Like that
Why,
was the
this
same,
one's just crazy enough to work.
right. That was the same situation where you're like, this is dumb. There's no reason not to do this, but we can't because we'll all get fired and people will riot. No, but it took one guy being like, no, that's ridiculous. Like it's fine. So
I wouldn't make these things
no, it's not
equal.
No, it's not
You
a perfect analogy.
Equal in terms of meeting the challenges of people who are trying to hold them back.
It's not equal in terms of the effect on society, but the analogy is just that decisions are made more based out of fear of popular opinion and retribution than they are out of intelligence for how to achieve a goal sometimes, in sports and in life. Like certainly the thing that makes all this stuff interesting is that it's a metaphor for how politics works, like people,
That's not the reason I find it
Oh, okay.
interesting.
Well,
I don't know enough things about politics.
But the difference is, like, the one football coach, I think he was in Arkansas, that just went for it every time, that was known for doing that. In high school, they probably ran the ball a lot.
Right.
So it was probably 4th and 1 most of the time.
Right.
Instead of 4th and 9, 4th and 12.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard about just like about the kickers and like they're gonna have to be kicking farther now, I just had one of those moments where like, you're a fucking idiot, because I thought they're gonna move back the goal, the goal post, like they're gonna pull it out and like move it back, and then I was reading, I was like, oh duh, they'll just make them kick from farther away.
Really,
You're a fucking idiot.
they're gonna move the goalpost back into seat 3C. Come on, guys.
Yeah, there's room to
And
move
the
those things
fans
back.
can
Why is
swat
that
the ball away.
I don't know. It just didn't seem.
Yeah, you act like it's hard to move one of those goalposts,
Well,
but I see students rip them out of the ground all the time, so it's not that tough.
Well, if it's at the 15, if 7 yards back, it's basically a 32-yard field goal. It's still not that hard in the NFL.
Dude, NFL
No.
kickers have ridiculous legs now. Like it's NFL kickers are markedly different than they were even 15 years ago. I mean, you see guys on 32-yard field goals, they don't go through the uprights. They go over the uprights and way into the stands. You know, they have that net that they raise up to catch the ball. Like, kickers kick them over those.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how big of a change. Like, if they make 99% last year, like, is it really going to have that much effect? They're going to make like
They're gonna knock it-
95.
You know, it wasn't that long ago they had to move kickoffs back because on kickoffs, kickers were just booming it out the back of the end zone every time. And it was just, it was, Or did they move, did they move them up?
They moved them back, and then they moved it back forward.
Right, yeah, they did move
Because they
them
used to
back.
kick from the 35, but then they're like, this is boring. We want more kickoff returns. So they moved it back to the 30. And then they're like, somebody might get hurt. Let's move
Yeah,
it
that's
back
right.
up.
That is what was happening. It doesn't matter. The NFL's going away in 15 years. Okay, this one's gonna be short and sweet today. We've all got exciting lives to live. We've got places to be, things to do.
How dare you?
Yeah, we do.
Exciting lives. Fuck you.
Well, that's fair. Let's do well, we've got some stuff. We've got some plugs. We've got some really cool things coming up. Will, you've got Will Doherty Loves Company.
I do.
You got some out-of-towners on it.
I do. I got everybody who I was able to sift off of Cromfest this weekend. Don't tell anybody.
Oh,
I mean,
do
do
you have any names?
Do
Or
tell your friend. Sure.
was that the extent of your plug? Hey, yeah, whatever.
I'm doing stuff with people.
Abby, our good dear friend Abby Rosenquist is back in town for the Cromfest, and she's I stole her to do my Stupid show.
Do you happen to know the Bernoulli equation?
The very same.
All right, nice.
I've got some people who I met while my brief stint in Austin, while I was living in Chicago. Tommy Mack from Chicago, Rob Gagnon, who's a guy I met in Austin, Andy Sell from Los Angeles, who I met at a show in Omaha once.
Give us a
Gonna
time
be
and place.
Doing my show. It's on 8 p.m. on Saturday night.
Cool.
So go see it.
Joshua?
Where is it?
At the back line.
Okay.
At the back line in Omaha.
1618
Google
Hardy
that.
Street, Omaha.
I'm opening for Darrin on the 5th, and I don't know what bar.
I think it's some bowling alley bar in York.
Sweet.
So
I have to ask you again, is that the extent of the plug?
Yeah, that's all I know.
Find a bowling alley and yell, "Hey, Darrin!" and maybe you'll find...
is there more than one bowling alley in York? Really?
I don't know.
I've never been there. Well, that sounds
There
exciting.
are, and they hate each other. So if you go to the wrong one, they're not going to help you find the other
Yeah,
one.
don't piss off the rival bowling alley. I am on a benefit show for the Starlings at the Hideout, now the Lookout Lounge in Omaha. It's at 72nd and Dodge, Saturday night at 9 o'clock. So come see that. All kinds of stuff going on, everybody. The end.
Yep.
Well-
I think Darrin pulled out his phone. Do you have
Well,
any
I
other?
was trying to find the email of the place in York, but I can't find it now.
What else do you have coming up, Darrin? Anything else?
That's about it for now. I have to.
All right. Where can we find you if we want information about Darrin Meyer?
Just on Facebook. I got a YouTube channel. I used to have a website, but that cost too much money. I'm like, never mind.
$15 a year?
I'm still actively avoiding Twitter.
We've been over this. Comics don't make a lot of money. Well, like, it was either have a web page or pay rent.
Fair enough.
You're actively avoiding Twitter.
Yeah, it's just like a site with constant Facebook updates. I'm like, never mind.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at the Jimmy Curve.
Follow me at Joshua Vossler.
Follow me at Kill Doherty.
All right,
You
everybody.
can follow me home from the bar.
Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next week. This is the other hit song from the band Corner Shop. Thank you and good night.